Okay, so it's the start of Q2 2026. And after a few videos in 2025, I completely went silent. Not because I didn't create the videos, but what I found was the biggest blocker that I had was doing the editing, cleaning up. And I felt like I had to probably, do what most people on YouTube do, making it more professional with all the cuts and all that sort of thing. And I put pressure on myself, considering that I have to also add working things like when I say that I'm gonna create a firewall with Sophos as my firewall software. In my head, I was thinking, oh, I should probably do a breakdown of the device, how I did the install, the technical side of things, all of that. And I realized like that's a bit of work. And in my previous career in IT, yeah, I would have had to do some of that sometimes as documentation so that the next person who comes along or the engineer who has to troubleshoot it later has a reference point. But there are so many good creators on YouTube who are much more stronger technically because they're still either in the industry doing the work or are specifically specialists as network engineers, system engineers, architects, that sort of roles, cybersecurity, who could be creating content that's specific like that to a platform, to systems, all of that. I kind of went away from my strength, which is distilling the principle behind the principles, the meta principles of how I made certain choices and sharing those so that anyone who is in a similar place can use those frameworks to figure out what is the best thing for you rather than being the one who says, this is the way to do it. And these are the platforms I'm using. These are the things I'm using. That's one of the things. The other thing that I realized was with the editing side of things is the time that it takes. So my whole philosophy for the rest of 2026 is going to be using these videos, one, as a very lightly edited or even unedited video, one as a sort of accountability for myself, documenting my journey in building my business. It's a coaching business, helping tech professionals get into tech management and helping tech managers and tech executives improve their leadership so that they can lead effectively with their natural strengths, utilizing that, understanding, because with every strength comes an equivalent weakness. So when they understand the strengths and the weaknesses that come with it, they can either mitigate the weaknesses by delegating the aspects that are weaknesses to the right people in their team, or ensuring they stay stronger in the strengths so that the weaknesses become irrelevant. So that's the plan there. The other things that I was thinking for the channel is to go even meta level in terms of my philosophy of living, what I'm working towards as well, what I'm seeing as happening in the world, and how we can protect ourselves, create a better place in a sense, leave this world a better place when it's time for us to go. So, decentralized living, privacy, autonomy, those sort of aspects, I'm looking at it from different perspectives and where I find resources that are helpful in helping me in making those changes in my life and helping move towards a more autonomous, self sufficient, self sovereign kind of existence, I would be sharing those here as well. Things that I've been looking at around decentralized finances, decentralized governance, decentralized living, decentralized systems overall, so that it's more resilient. We're not dependent on just big tech's systems, not dependent on other centralized systems that don't understand the local environments that we live in. The kind of thing that works in one particular locality may not exactly work in another locality because of cultural differences, because of the kind of agriculture, farm, all that sort of thing that we have, the kind of terrain that we are in. So many things. There are so many variations that we have to account for. Yet there are systems, governments, policies, all these things being pushed from a central location to try and generalize and make everything look like you can uniformly control and manage and govern everything, which is not really the case. It doesn't help and it doesn't work for the betterment of the people in those local areas. And those are the things we've got to consider if humanity is going to thrive and we are all going to get to a place where everyone really has true equality, true ability to thrive as humanity. And those are the things that I'm thinking through, and I'll share my perspectives. Things around decentralized living is something that I've been talking privately in my circles for at least 15 years, if not more. So, those sort of things I want to put out publicly. And not everything's fully formed thoughts. So, I would love the engagement of others who are also thinking through these sort of issues and directions so that we can all work together. We've got something that previous generations didn't have. We have social media, we have YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, all these video platforms where we can share, we can congregate, we can discuss. Yes, there are people who are vitriolic and, spew hate. Those people are never are people, if you want to look at it that way. And I don't like the us versus them sort of mentality under any circumstance. But they have to awaken at their pace. And hopefully, some of the discussions that we have will help them at least think maybe there is a different way. And that's all we can do is help people look at things and go, maybe there is a different way. Maybe. It may not be perfect, nothing is, but at least that openness, if you can get people to open their mind, their thinking to outside of what they are usually used to think, that is a start. And 2025, I try to do too much. I was thinking I would do this channel on, the tech, other stuff, and, sharing my progress, which stalled multiple times here and there through the year. And then I thought I'd have a secondary channel that is more focused on areas that I've been researching over the last 4 or 5 years: religion, governments, finance, all the other stuff that don't exactly probably go in with the theme of this, but as a complementary sort of thing. So it's one of those things I was thinking, oh, maybe having something separate means I can speak more freely on some of those topics, and it's something still in my mind, but for some time in the future. I just realized that as one person doing what I do, I work a full time job, yes, from home, but nonetheless, it's a full time role. I'm working on building my um, tech leadership coaching business, which I've sown seeds years ago, and now I'm like going, yep, I've got to go all in and do this properly. So I'm working on that. So that has its own YouTube channel that I have to revive because I did a brain dump in 2021 when I left my tech exec position. So I'm working on reviving that with more useful content that people who are experienced tech and engineering professionals would find helpful to get them to upgrade into tech management or engineering management and then lead from their strengths. So at this stage, the aim is to create one video a week where I share what I've been working on and what has been working. So, for example, this week, after many years, I've started doing some Facebook advertising again. Back in the mid 2010s, which is 2014, 15, 16, 17, I was still doing some affiliate marketing and I was doing some advertising for others and also for my consulting that I was doing on the side. And then because of busyness, getting into IT management and an IT exec role, it was so busy that all those things just went off. So I've started creating content and putting it on LinkedIn and on Facebook for my business, the coaching business. So techno leadership. Um, and what I've been doing is to test and see if the marketing messages are resonating, if people are actually looking for what I think they might be looking for, and what I was looking for years ago when I was struggling to go from being a IT professional to an IT manager. And I wanted to get data quickly, so I did posts and I boosted them. And I've been getting pretty good results in terms of engagement that I've been seeing. So from the statistics, the insights that I could see on Facebook, I was getting about 10% engagement on um, the posts that have been boosted, obviously. It's been boosted to a fairly targeted group of people. So it's not like I'm getting tens of thousands of views. I think about 5,000, about 3 to 5,000 views per post that have been boosted for between 3 and 5 days. And all of them have had engagements that are 10% of that. So in some ways, either engagement, likes, and comments and all that sort of thing have been about 300, 200 to 500-ish. So it's been about that 9 to 10%, which has been pretty good, which gives me data from that perspective that looks like these things are, people are looking for these things. They are wanting the support, the help. So next thing is to create lead magnets, or what my boss and mentor Taki says is micromagnets. So I'll be testing those out to see what resonates with my people, and then based on that, lead them to conversations and looking at whether the offer that I'm building, which is a whole 6-step process to help people understand themselves, their strengths, their skills, combining that into understanding their unique value that they bring to any company, figuring out the right environment for them to thrive, and then finding the right roles and applying for those, doing cover letters in such a manner that they get to position themselves as the right person for the role, get interviews, and then in the interview sell themselves as the right person for the role, if it is right for them, obviously, and then negotiate to get paid well for that and get the role and get into the role with confidence. So all of that is covered. And it's stuff that's tested by me in the hard market. And also, I've helped my team members go through the same processes using what I learned, and other people outside of my sphere of influence that I've been able to help in various forms over the years. So it's all that insight has been synthesized and stripped down, cut to the absolute minimum that's required to get this result. No fluff, no BS. I don't like doing that. It just wastes too much time. Cool. So that's where that's going. Um, so one of the big things for 2026 is balancing learning versus doing. At least since 2021, when I went really hardcore into researching a lot of things going on with governments, with finance, with health, with a lot of these things, um, meant I've gotten into this whole learning, researching mentality rather than utilizing for day to day use. And a lot of that didn't convert to day use, more a self knowledge, understanding how it all works, not how we are told it works. That's the big distinction between doing all this research to understand how it actually works versus how we think or we've been told it works. Meant that I've gone into this whole learning loop, which I noticed in 2025. Like, I was thinking I'll get a bit more serious and do the stuff for the business. And I built a fair bit of the program. Out of the 6 major modules, I've finished 5, 4, 5, 4 or 5 of the major modules fully done, cut, edited, even put it into the platform and ran a few of my ex-clients, ex-team members, all of them through that to get feedback. And then the 2 main modules that I wanted to finish on writing cover letters properly and doing interviews properly, just was like, oh yeah, I'll get to it, and went. I got stuck into this more learning. And the programs that I bought to try and help me understand how to better package and market and do all that sort of thing, I got stuck in the learning side of it rather than actually implementing. Finally, this year, I've got myself to go, okay, I need to take a step back. I need to build new habits. So for a whole month of February, or would have been probably second week of February to the second week of March, something like that, 4 weeks, I did 1 post a week on LinkedIn. And then I think after the second or third week, I also put the post on Facebook and built that as a habit once a week. That's it. And then the last couple of weeks, I've been going almost daily content. So the 5 working days, I've been making content, putting it out there, and building that habit. It's more, first, building the habit. Second, obviously, I've been getting data because I've been boosting the posts on Facebook. Should also, next thing would be to do it in LinkedIn to learn the platform as well as to see what the outcomes are. And then the next step would be to improve my content, to see what's working, using the data, using the resonance, using the feedback from people who are reading it to give them more of what they need and want. Ultimately, we're here for serving. Yes, there's a business to build and run, but at the front end, I want to be someone who's helpful, who's insightful, useful, and gives actionable content that they can use to move forward. And at a certain place, if they need my help and support, then I have a program to help them and support them. Many might be able to just do it by themselves and get through, and that's fine too. Any program, course, whatever, I personally feel is something that speeds up the process. It's more an accelerant than something that's must have sort of thing. Most people are intelligent enough to understand, learn, and do things. And my whole philosophy is all about empowering people rather than making them dependent on me or anything that I can do. If I can empower them, they can stand on their own 2 feet and be their best self. And that's always been my philosophy through my adult life, at least. And that's the way of I am building my business as well, is to empower people even in the content. And if they do choose to go through the program, they would be empowered so that for the rest of their career, even if they choose to go from anything tech related outside, like I did from being a tech exec to going into sales account management, and then community management, support coach, all these things that I've done after that, I've done with the same principles and ideas, and that they can use as well. So, empowerment. So, those are things that are there that I'm building, doing, and I'm building new habits to go from learning to learn, implement, get data, and then learn again, implement, get data, and keep growing. So ultimately, to build a flywheel of momentum, which comes from action. So get it going from the plateaued state of stuckness to moving into action. So that's the big mission for myself in 2026. And these weekly videos are my hope to keep me in that loop, sharing what's working, what's not working, which is again one thing I wanted to do last year. Didn't happen. This year, let's start again. Let's try again. Let's build this habit again. The other big things that I've been considering is I've been not just following as an observer, because many people in the company that I work at have been pioneering a lot of things in AI for online businesses, coaching businesses. And I've had the opportunity to work with these pioneers, test things, do all that. And I've also been like, having worked in IT, we've seen the early versions of AI before the public even saw ChatGPT and all the other stuff that we have today, Claude and OpenClaw and all of that. So my, especially after like my time in IT management and doing being in a director role where governance was an important aspect of risk management was a very important aspect of it, with the whole vibe coding phenomenon and vibe AI phenomenon, if you want to call it that, I see a lot of potential security and data governance issues. So I think there's a lot of consideration that needs to happen in that area, and I'm thinking through a lot of that. I'm thinking through ethical implementation of AI as a partner in work rather than replacing humans. A lot of companies seem to be pushing for it to be a replacement of people rather than supplementing and getting better, like both the human and the AI working together to have a better outcome. The human gives a better client experience. The AI makes sure that all the things happen the way they should happen. And I heard a statistics over the weekend. I was listening to YouTube videos when I was doing stuff around the house, that in the past, most businesses, big businesses, let's say, this person I was listening to, I forget the name of the person, was talking about businesses like car businesses and things like that. About 80%, based on his claim, I haven't had the time to fact check this, so just going based on his claim, about 80% of all revenue goes into paying people and going into capital, like machines and all that sort of thing. Whereas most of the tech companies these days, only 1% goes back to the people who are working for the business. And if you look at there is a productivity curve that I've seen where since about the 1970s, productivity is significantly, exponentially gone up, whereas our pay has only kept up with inflation in a sense. So even though we've been productive, we've been creating more value, we, people who are workers, haven't really been compensated in line with the productivity improvements that we have had, which is where you can see the disparity, the economy, in people's livelihood. You see where in the past, let's say 60s, 70s, maybe even the 80s, house prices were about 5 years annual salary for the house. Whereas now it's like 12 plus years, which puts its own stress on people, mortgages. And then you need two people to be working today to be able to live in relative comfort. So all of these things I've been thinking about. And now with AI, even more optimizing, getting humans out of that to optimize for profit only at the expense of humans, I don't think is right. Profit is required for businesses to stay in business. I get that. I am a capitalist at heart, a free market capitalist at heart. But the way things are going at the moment and have been going for the last 15, 20, 30 years, maybe at least, that I can think of and have interacted with, haven't been great for humans in general. So, yeah, I'm thinking of that. I'll be sharing what I'm thinking through on that because I tend to process more verbally when I talk, and these sort of videos will have some of that. And then it also allows me to put my thoughts out there and get thoughts of other people who are also thinking about similar things so that we can all think together and come to a place where we all as humans can work on things that are for the benefit of humanity. And that's not put ourselves in a situation where we are controlled by a significant few people, whether it's centralized governments, centralized tech, whatever it might be. So that's the plan for the year. Build a business to build, a stream of income that keeps up with where the world is at the moment, which is gives me the lifestyle and all that sort of thing that I want for myself and my family, but also being of value to the people that I serve or get to serve, which means building new habits, rebuilding old habits that fell away for various reasons, health and otherwise. And so rather than in the past, I've gone, oh yeah, I've got to change things and try to change 10 different habits at the same time, do it for a week and then crash. This time I've gone, okay, I'm going to create one piece of content a week. And then from there, gone, okay, I can do this once a day for the 5 working days. And eventually, maybe if I get to a point where I'm comfortable enough, I might end up doing 7 days a week content for my business. Whereas for this channel at this stage, it's going to be one video a week. And occasionally I might have a video where I talk about things outside of my direct journey of what I'm doing for my business and what's working there, sort of thing. It'll be more around the principles behind the principles of thinking when I'm doing a home lab, where I'm doing with privacy and stuff, where I'm doing content moderation stuff, because my kids are growing older. They are needing to use the internet for school work and research. At the same time, I have the responsibility as a parent to protect them. It's not the bloody government's responsibility or digital ID or any of that rubbish age verification. That's not the government's job. It's my job as a parent to do that. And how I'm doing that, how I'm thinking about that, I'll share here. So hopefully other parents can also benefit from that. So these are the things that I'm thinking about, how I'm rebuilding discipline, how I'm rebuilding habits, how I'm building the business side of things for me, how I'm working on decentralizing my economic, financial, and all those aspects from the centralized economy, which at this stage, especially with everything that's happening in the world, I'm a bit concerned about. So that's me. And that's where I went in 2025 after trying to do things that I thought should be perfect and has to be polished and done this way. It's not going to be polished. It's going to be, this messy desk. Me this way with a notepad with notes of what I wanted to cover in this video. This is me being me. And in a world of, where people are creating videos with AI so that they don't have to be there to create the bloody videos, what's the point? I think just coming me as me and sharing what's working, how things are going, doesn't mean we don't use AI for things that they're beneficial in, but to replace me in content, I don't think that's what we need. I think we need real humans talking to real humans so that we can all work together for a better tomorrow and for a better humanity. I look forward to seeing you. And this video has been very long. I can see it. I don't know how many minutes this has been, maybe 20, 30 minutes. I'm aiming to keep the weekly videos shorter. If and when I have those other videos that I want to share more of the thoughts around decentralization, AI, ethical implementation of AI, how we can use it as a partner in doing better work, creating better experiences for our clients, customers, for people that are impacted by our work, impacted by us being present, all of those sort of things. I'm thinking that through these things, and I know that there are others also thinking through these things, because since 2021, 2022, this whole explosion of AI has been exponential, and we're all trying to figure out how is it all going to work while we all have human dignity, human sovereignty, human autonomy, and privacy in this new world that we are going into. So let's all work together and figure things out. And I'm going to use this as an opportunity to kind of share what I'm doing. And there are probably things that are anything that I put into place that I feel are beneficial towards that journey of, being more autonomous, being more self-sufficient from financially and otherwise. I'll share here anything that is directly impactful for my business, which is around, tech professionals and tech managers getting into management and executive leadership, career growth, leadership development. All of that would stay in my techno leadership channel. Stuff that I've been researching outside of things like governmental systems, financial systems, history that is It's been interesting. I might touch on certain things in this channel and point to other sources that I've found useful, helpful. But eventually, when I get to a place where I have buffer and my business actually takes off and does its own thing, and I have a team to support me, I will look at creating something separate that is specifically concentrated around that, because I've spent, I don't know, probably 8,000 hours over the last 5 years to touch on a lot of different areas that I'd love to share in its own container, because that is an intense kind of thing in and of itself. So look forward to seeing you in future weekly updates, and I'd love to hear your thoughts around areas like ethical implementation of AI, ethical implementation of technology, even like IT, that sort of thing. Being self-sufficient from a standpoint of work, finance, home labs, technology, having our own control over our internal tech network, content moderation for kids, all of these sort of things. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your feedback, and I'll share my thoughts, feedbacks, and principle behind how I think through things, so that it is helpful for you if you are going through that journey as well. Wish you well. Look forward to seeing you in a future video. Take care. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Ben Solomon Show. If you like this episode, please hit the like button and subscribe on your favorite platform. And share the episode with anyone who you think might benefit from this episode. If you have any questions or feedback, please let me know in the comment section or at my website, www.bensolomon.co. That is www.bensolomon.co. Thank you and have a fantastic day.